You've done the right thing. You've insulated your ceiling. You've insulated your underfloor. But you're still cold. Best you finish the job. And to match your walls.
As you know, Senior Sergeant Lyn Fleming was killed, was it New Year's Eve? New Year's Day, the morning of New Year's Day in Nelson. There was social upset there, the whole series of people being stupid. It was broken up by, it was going to be broken up by Senior Sergeant Lyn Fleming on foot patrol at the time with fellow officer Adam Ramsey. And then somebody got in a vehicle, a 30-something 4-year-old man, whose name nor ethnicity we may not know, but for reasons that make absolutely no sense, gets in a car and deliberately, as the allegation, drives them down, killing the 62-year-old policewoman. Now, you know all about that. It was shocking. She was the first policewoman to be killed in New Zealand in the line of duty. I don't think everybody else has been a man that's been killed. She was also the first police officer to be killed while on duty in Nelson as well. And it was a 32-year-old man was charged with a murder, and he's not due to appear again in court. And the court system's a joke at the moment. But he won't appear in court for pleading. It won't even be the trial until August. It's just an absurdity, but there you go. Anyhow, weeks after Fleming's death, the police launched an internal investigation into the alleged misuse of an intelligence database called the National Intelligence Application, the NIA, which holds sensitive information about incidents and offending, as well as information about the public, potentially about you, potentially about me. And police employees, including civilian staff, have access to this database, but their use is tracked and audited. They must have a valid work reason for doing so. And I can remember, for example, that certain police officers got into a certain amount of trouble. God, this goes back about 20 years ago, for stopping young women on a routine patrol, getting all their details and then tracking them for dating and mating purposes. I remember those cases. There was also another case where information was illegally obtained to assist and aid and abet, as I remember, an organised crime motorcycle gang. So it has been misused in the past. But in this particular case, the investigation has revealed that at least 50 staff misused the system in relation to Fleming's case. They'd accessed both the event file, which holds a running log of the information related to an open case, as well as the file for the alleged offender. Now, it's quite unsurprisingly, most of us in New Zealand would want to know who it was that killed and what their background was, but it seems that 50-odd police wanted to know that too, and went and checked out everything about the offender. And they've all the 50 staff members who accessed the file improperly were issued warnings. I would imagine that somewhere along the line, some of them would have gone to New Zealand Police Association, which is essentially their trade union, and said, can you give us a bit of a hand? And the president of the New Zealand Police Association, Chris Cahill, is going to join us to talk about this now, and whether or not our information or the misuse of intel is an ongoing issue that needs, well, frankly, a bit more effort put in by all of police authorities combined. Chris joins us now. Chris, lovely to have you on the show again, mate. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Morning, Michael.
Listen, you know all about this case, obviously. I suppose you would have had some of your some of your members come to you and say, can you give me a hand to do with this issue, did you?
Yeah, we certainly did. So the majority of those were our members, and we looked after them from a legal employment relationship advice.
I'm assuming that it was just curiosity. I mean, if the police tend to regard everybody as a bit of a family, how many sworn police officers are there now? What, 8,000, 9,000 of you? You're all still, it's a large bloody family, I have to say, but there you go. When one of your own gets killed, I guess it was just natural curiosity to want to have a look, would it be?
Yeah, nearly everyone that we're aware of, and obviously, we may not have 100% of the information. There might be some that weren't our members, but nearly all of them are. They looked at them on the night, so it was almost immediate. So remember, it was New Year's Eve. They say there was a large number of police officers and police employees working across the country that night. And yeah, now nearly all looked at the night. It was generally to look into the log to see if the officer's name was there, um, which is sort of understandable given the concern. And you know a lot of colleagues that work around the country, so you'd like to know who it is. And then secondly, some of them look to see who the offender was. So look, not good form. That there is an expectation that that material will be private, and not just that. It's the principle of the wider police intelligence material and operational files being private. So it was a bit disappointing, but not totally with, it's sort of understandable too, given the level of concern that would have existed at the
I'll
time.
come to the wider issue in just a second, but there's an enormous and growing frustration in New Zealand, and you must have picked it up because you're an intelligent man as well, and so will your staff, that too much information is withheld from the public when it comes not only to police investigations, but the identification of alleged offenders, and that suppression in our courts has become a plague. I compare and contrast that with the United States of America, the United Kingdom even, and other jurisdictions as well. Why is there so much secrecy around police investigations and the naming of offenders in comparison to other countries?
Oh, I suppose to a large degree it's our privacy laws in New Zealand. I think there's probably two sides to that argument, though, isn't there? I mean, the problem nowadays is once something's published, it's there forever. It used to be, if your name was in the front page of the newspaper, it was yesterday, it's tomorrow's fish and chip wrapper, and you forgot about it. But now, if your name's published, it's there forever. And so the idea of innocent under proven guilty starts to go out the window because if you're named before the matter gets to court, and you can go through the legal suppression orders, etc., you sort of never recover from that damage. So I can see both sides of the argument, to be honest, Michael.
I might be able to see that on a he says, she says rape case, mate, but when you drive into police officers and you've still got your name suppressed, what, 6 months after the event, it seems a bit odd to me.
Yeah, I think, look, I'm only guessing here, so don't think you know more than me because I've been careful that I haven't stuck my beak in where it doesn't belong. But one of the things you do have to consider if someone has active charges that could be influenced by the fact they've got other active charges, that sometimes can be the best reason for someone to have name suppression. In other words, you don't want to influence a jury for
Can you
for a
imagine this
future
happening in the
charge.
United States of America? God, within 24 hours usually of a major event, the identity of the claimant is known. I mean, it's bang, it's instant. They seem to have a much more open justice system than we do, don't you think?
I'm not convinced they get it right either, though. I mean, you're seeing the whole triple one leak, the autopsy reports leaked, or whether leaked, not actually leaked, released. Video footage of the offence. They sort of almost have the trial before it gets to anywhere near a courtroom. So I'm not convinced they've got it right either. I think there needs to be a better balance than that. Um, I know people want to know everything, but it's hard to pull back information once it's out there if for some reason it's incorrect or if it creates a bias in the courtroom. The last thing we want to do is create an avenue where where you get mistrials declared and people walk away when they may be guilty because it's deemed they can't get a fair trial. That would be the biggest concern about releasing too much information to me.
Okay. All right. And so what were the ramifications for this for those who had access now, is it illegal to access that file, or is it
Uh,
just a breach of a sort of internal code of conduct? What's the
so,
seriousness
so
of
there
this?
are, so there's sort of it could be illegal, and this might be a good discussion on the wider one. But there's two sort of offences in the Crimes Act that sort of relate to this, and the first is illegally accessing computer material, shall we say. But police officers generally have a defence to that charge, and so does anyone who has legal access to the computer, even if it's not for that material. Where it becomes a criminal offence is if they use it for a benefit or a gain. And so generally you'd say in this example, there's no benefit, there's no gain. So they haven't committed, they've got a statutory defence, there's no criminal offending.
Right. No.
Perhaps you'll have some more questions that might open up what
No,
again
no.
is
I
just
mean,
the other
that's what I was
basis.
thinking. I think I gave you as an introduction. I can remember cases of illegally accessing material for mating and dating purposes. Essentially, somebody I think illegally identified a file to tip off their husband or partner who was involved in drug activities and investigation, things like that. I mean, those are clearly illegal. Yeah.
You've done the right thing. You've insulated your ceiling. You've insulated your underfloor. But you're still cold. Best you finish the job. And to match your walls.